While other people awaken superpowers and befriend adorable pets, I ended up with the 4 great pests: rats, flies, mosquitoes, and cockroaches operating deep within the city's sewers. But it was thanks to these drunken, society-rejected sewer rats that I managed to uncover some truly shocking secrets. If you're enjoying the story, please leave a like and follow to support the series and help new episodes come out even faster. Now, let's continue the story. The next morning, I woke with the strange feeling that someone was staring at me. The moment I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was the tiny little face of the gray rat and his shiny black eyes. I jumped in fright. Holy crap! I practically launched myself off the bed, and the gray rat got scared too and tumbled straight onto the floor. The two of us froze and stared at each other for several seconds while my brain slowly rebooted. Right. I wasn't an ordinary human anymore, and my relationship with rodents wasn't limited to mutual hatred now. Sister Ha, boss woke up, the gray rat reported timidly. He keeps insisting he wants boiled pig's head. Black boss said he's dumb because how's he supposed to chew in his condition? I rubbed my messy hair. Eating a little lean meat after surgery won't kill him. I'll shred it up and make porridge. Before I even brushed my teeth or washed my face, I ran straight into the kitchen and started making pig head porridge for the rats. The big rat was extremely unhappy with this arrangement. I want the whole pig head. What kind of nonsense is this shredded up stuff? I stirred the steaming pot of porridge while coaxing him gently. The pig head from yesterday isn't fresh anymore after sitting overnight. Just deal with the porridge while you recover. Once you're completely healthy, I'll buy you a brand new pig head, okay? The big rat froze. Huh? This script felt wrong. Normally whenever he acted this grumpy, he'd immediately get yelled at. But this girl not only wasn't angry, she even promised him a new one. He suddenly had nothing to say. After choking on his own words, he only let out a cold snort and turned his face away. I knew perfectly well he was embarrassed, so I pretended not to notice. I really was too kind. Once the porridge was done, the black rat helped prop his cousin up. Using a tiny plastic spoon, I carefully fed him 1 spoonful of soft porridge at a time. After around 10 spoonfuls, the big rat shook his head. He tilted his snout toward the black and gray rats, who were standing nearby practically drooling. You two finish the rest. The black rat immediately shook his head. No way. That's your recovery food. The big rat became irritated. What, is my dad a pig? Why would I eat that much? Are you eating or not? I joined in too. Go ahead and eat, you two. There's plenty left in the bowl, and I still have more in the pot. Seeing his cousin glaring threateningly, the gray rat swallowed hard. Sister Ha is dirt poor. If I complain about the food and Big Brother starts making fun of her for being poor, she'll feel hurt. So he obediently kept quiet and focused on eating. I put the bowl in the sink and quickly took care of washing up. By the time I came back out, the porridge pot had been completely wiped clean. I ended up making instant noodles for myself. After eating, I checked the big rat's wounds again. I had to admit, rats really healed ridiculously fast. After only one night, the wounds had already started drying up. He still couldn't walk normally and had to avoid water, but at least he was out of danger. After years of struggling through underground sewers, the big rat had experienced countless fights. Battles with other rats, fights with stray cats, getting chased and beaten by humans, he'd been through all of it. Whenever he got hurt, he'd always hide in some damp dark corner, lick his own wounds, and wait for fate to decide. Live or die, he left it to the heavens. This was the first time in his life he had ever stayed somewhere dry and clean, had medicine applied to his wounds, and been fed warm porridge 1 spoon at a time. The cold heart of the sewer boss suddenly softened. But his foul mouth stayed exactly the same. These little scratches are nothing, he scoffed. If I died from this, I'd lose all my street reputation. Even if you hadn't stepped in, I would have healed on my own. I couldn't be bothered arguing with him. After feeding him another bowl of porridge at noon, I saw him getting drowsy and picked up my bag to head out. You guys stay in the room, okay? Don't show yourselves outside. Daytime's dangerous, humans and cats are everywhere. The gray rat poked his head out of the bag. Sister Ha, where are you going? To the zoo. The gray rat's eyes instantly lit up. The place with giant tigers, lions, and elephants? See, can I come too? Looking at his little paws twisting together nervously, I laughed and shook my head. Nope, kid. If I hide you in my bag and security catches us, it'll be troublesome. Besides, I'm afraid you'd wet yourself within an hour after seeing those animals. The gray rat looked disappointed, but he still obediently nodded. Okay. Be careful, Sister Ha. I'll watch over Big Brother. Without another word, I nodded and headed for the door. Today's trip to the zoo wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. Ever since I discovered I could understand that green fly and the household cockroaches, I'd vaguely suspected that my ability wasn't limited to just one or two species. But back then, tracking down a murderer for that 35 million reward had been more urgent, so I put it aside. Now that the reward money was basically secured, it was time to figure out exactly how this golden hand ability of mine worked. I had already tried interacting with cats on the street. The result had been complete silence. No reaction at all. So it clearly didn't work on pets. I needed to test it on wild animals at the zoo. If that failed too, then at the very least I could narrow down what kinds of insects or small creatures I could understand. Since it was a sunny weekend, the zoo was packed with people of all ages. I practically sweated buckets squeezing my way up to the fences for confirmation. I understood absolutely nothing from tigers, leopards, lions, elephants, giraffes, pandas, or flamingos. I even stopped by the insect exhibit. Still nothing. After dragging myself through nearly the entire massive park, I started feeling discouraged. No way. Does my superpower only work on sewer ecosystem creatures like rats, flies, and cockroaches? That's pathetic. Lost in disappointment, I dragged myself over to a stone bench beneath an ancient tree to rest. People were passing nearby, but everyone stayed a fair distance away. As for animals, there wasn't a single one around. Not even a sparrow. Suddenly, an incredibly sweet, cutesy voice sounded right beside my ear. Oh my gosh, why am I suddenly feeling so dizzy? The voice stretched out every word slowly and clearly. What's wrong, sweetheart? You just got back from your little cleaning spa. Are you hungry? Then a warm male voice replied. Not hungry at all. Ah, help. Stand properly. What weird blood did you suck from some drug addict? Why are you staggering around like you're drunk? I jolted and whipped my head around searching for the source. After staring around the tree trunk for several minutes, my eyes finally locked onto two tiny black dots. Mosquitoes. My mouth slowly dropped open. Before I could even process things, the sweet female voice spoke again in confusion. And no weird blood. Oh wow, my head's spinning. I can't stand anymore. Huh? Why did you suddenly split into two mosquitoes? Hee hee. I stared in shock. The mosquitoes were actually talking. I'm really not okay anymore, everything's spinning. The female mosquito's voice sounded slurred, like someone who'd gotten fake alcohol at a nightclub. The male mosquito beside her panicked. Oh my god, what kind of syrup did you drink to end up like this? Don't scare me. The female mosquito shook her tiny head. No, really. I just secretly bit a really cute kid. Their syrup smelled sweet and delicious. How could I get drunk? The male mosquito refused to believe it. Even if human syrup has weird stuff mixed into it, how could drinking it make you stagger around like this? Tell me the truth. Did you sneak off drinking somewhere? The female mosquito sounded wronged enough to cry. I'm serious. Maybe that kid was sleeping really deeply when I bit them, so I caught their sleepiness too. Are you dumb? The male mosquito said. Mosquitoes always wait until humans are asleep before attacking. At most you get too full and can't fly properly. There's no way you'd get drunk like this. Don't fall asleep. If you drop to the ground, ants will carry you away. As I stood there eavesdropping, my brain, which had only recently escaped a horrifying murder case, suddenly wandered down an extremely dark path. The zoo was crowded, noisy, lively, and full of furry animals kids loved. What normal child would be sleeping soundly in a place like this? And on top of that, the mosquito had immediately become dizzy after drinking the child's blood. Could that child have been drugged? I couldn't hold back anymore. Hey, mosquito. Which kid did you bite? What did they look like? My sudden voice made both mosquitoes jump in shock. The male mosquito immediately flapped his wings to fly away. My natural instincts nearly made me clap my hands together and flatten them. Thankfully, I stopped myself in time. The female mosquito, already dizzy, got startled and slipped right off the bark, dropping onto a leaf below. Ah. That hurts. What kind of cursed blood did I drink? I'm even hallucinating now. There's a human that understands us. I lowered my face close to the leaf. Not a hallucination. And it's not because of the blood you drank. I really can understand you. Seeing I wasn't trying to kill them, the male mosquito circled back cautiously and landed on the edge of the leaf. Good heavens, why you really understand us? Are you actually human? How does a human tune into mosquito frequencies? Watching him buzz in front of me made my hands itch violently. I desperately suppressed my murderous instincts. It's not just mosquitoes. I can also chat with sewer rats, flies, and cockroaches. The moment I said it, my eyes widened. Wait a second. Rats. Flies. Mosquitoes. Cockroaches. Wasn't this literally the legendary 4 great pests? Other people awakened superpowers and became friends with adorable cats and loyal dogs. At worst, maybe a few cute birds. And me? Heaven had apparently blessed me with an exclusive communication ability for the sewer ecosystem's 4 great pests. The male mosquito continued buzzing around curiously. That's incredible. Are you some kind of mutant? The female mosquito also wobbled back into the air, flying in drunken figure eights. Are you really human? Or some new AI robot? Why can you understand mosquito language? I was speechless and too tired to explain things to a drunk mosquito. I turned to the male mosquito instead. Forget who I am. Think carefully. Which child did your girlfriend bite? Which direction did they go? Though the female mosquito was dizzy, she still remembered fragments. She cut in first. I didn't see clearly, but that man was carrying the child and walking really fast. When he passed those huge black bears, he didn't even glance at them. The male mosquito sounded surprised. He didn't look at the giant bears? Weird. The more I listened, the more uneasy I felt. A man carrying a deeply sleeping child through a zoo without paying attention to any animals at all? That was suspicious. I hurriedly asked. What colors were they wearing? The male mosquito searched through his tiny brain. The guy carrying the kid wore black. Don't know about the kid. I was busy aiming for that nice fatty neck to bite. I think there was some orange-red trim around the collar. Not much information. But I didn't have time for more. Thanks, you too. I tossed those words behind me and shot to my feet, sprinting toward the black bear area. I had carefully checked the map before coming here. Past the black bears came the zebra section. Past that was the emergency exit. Once that man walked out and got into any random car, finding him would become like searching for a needle in the ocean. The problem was that every place with animals was packed shoulder to shoulder with people. How was I supposed to get through this sea of humanity? Then inspiration struck. As I ran, I clutched my stomach and screamed dramatically. Move. Please move. My stomach hurts. I'm gonna poop my pants. The strategy worked like actual magic. Adults and children alike instantly grimaced, covered their noses, and hurriedly scattered aside, leaving a wide-open path for me. End of part 2. I sprinted past the black bear enclosure and rushed by the zebra area as fast as I could. The emergency exit was finally within sight, and there he was, the suspicious man I had been chasing. The man was dressed entirely in black and walking unusually fast. He was alone, tightly carrying a small child in his arms. The child's head was buried against his shoulder, hidden beneath a hood so completely that I couldn't even see the face. The weather was scorching hot, and children naturally have a higher body temperature than adults, yet the kid was wrapped up tightly like a bundle. Something felt seriously wrong. If he made it out of the gate and had someone waiting outside with a car, we'd lose him completely. There was no time left to hesitate. My instinct screamed that this was some kind of child trafficking situation. Summoning every ounce of courage, I shouted at the top of my lungs. "Stop him! He's taking a child! Someone stop that man in black!" As I yelled, I pointed straight at him. The man flinched and quickly turned around. The moment he realized I was calling attention to him, he tried to push his way out and escape. But it was already too late. The zoo was packed with families spending the weekend together, and the words "taking a child" instantly triggered everyone's alarm bells. Within seconds, people surrounded him from every direction. Still, the man remained surprisingly calm. Holding the child tightly, he tried to explain himself. "You've got it all wrong. This is my son. He's very sick, and I'm trying to take him to the hospital. If something happens because you people blocked me, who's going to take responsibility?" The crowd looked at the child, who was completely motionless on his shoulder. Some people started hesitating, worried they might actually be interfering with an emergency. Seeing the crowd loosen up, I rushed forward again. "He's lying. That child doesn't belong with him. Please don't let him leave until security gets here." At the mention of security and authorities, a flash of panic crossed the man's eyes, though he quickly tried to regain control. "What's wrong with you?" he snapped. "You can't just accuse people randomly. If that's really your brother, show everyone a picture." The crowd turned toward me with uncertain expressions. "He has a point," someone said. "If you know the child, prove it." I clenched my teeth. The guy was quick-thinking and manipulative. I wasn't exactly a great actress either, so pretending to break down emotionally wasn't going to help. "Fine. No more holding back." I pulled out my phone immediately. Whether he's telling the truth or not, security can verify everything once they arrive. The man clearly hadn't expected me to actually call for help. Hugging the child tighter, he suddenly tried to force his way through the crowd. "Move aside. I don't have time for this." I shouted again. "Don't let him go. He's trying to run." My determination made the crowd suspicious again. Better safe than sorry, people tightened the circle around him once more. Realizing he had nowhere left to escape, the man panicked. In desperation, he pushed the child toward the crowd to create a distraction. "Catch the kid!" Several women rushed forward and safely caught the child before anything could happen. Taking advantage of the confusion, the man tried to bolt through a small opening. But before he could escape, he slammed straight into a large man standing behind the crowd and fell heavily to the ground. "Hold him down until security arrives." The larger man pinned him to the pavement while others rushed in to help restrain him. Meanwhile, the child was safely in a woman's arms, still asleep. At that point, everyone realized something was very wrong. "Call the authorities. Don't let him escape." More people stepped in to help restrain the suspect until security arrived. The young couple finally realized that I was the one who had saved their child from danger. The husband was so overwhelmed that he suddenly dropped to his knees right in front of me. "Thank you so much. Our family will never forget what you did for us." "Sir, please get up. Don't do this, you're making me panic." I hurriedly reached out to help him up, but to my horror, he was already trying to bow his head in gratitude. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Right then, a firm authoritative voice cut through the chaos and saved me. "The police are here. Please step aside and make room." Captain Tran Kien Kwok led a team of officers through the crowd. Thank goodness he arrived at the perfect moment. After securing the suspected trafficker and arranging for a patrol car to escort the child's family to the hospital for a medical checkup, the other officers stayed behind to collect witness statements and clear the scene. Meanwhile, I quietly climbed into the passenger seat of Captain Tran's car to leave the zoo. Honestly, this situation was becoming so familiar that it almost felt like he wasn't a homicide captain anymore, but my personal chauffeur picking me up after work. "Captain Tran, do I still need to come to the station and give another statement?" I asked carefully. Captain Tran paused for a second before smiling casually. "That won't be necessary. Everything has already been handled properly, so there's no need to trouble you anymore. I'll just drive you home." I nodded lightly, though deep down I knew things couldn't possibly be that simple. Sure enough, after the car had driven a short distance, Captain Tran finally got to the point. "Hamok, how exactly did you know that Tru Vu used the upstairs apartment to clean the blood?" I repeated the same mystical intuition excuse I had prepared beforehand. I just followed my instincts and observed the environment around the scene. I've always been unusually sensitive to homicide cases. Captain Tran let out a long sigh. What a waste. If you had attended the police academy, I would have paid any price to recruit you into my unit. You've never received formal investigative training, yet your reasoning is incredibly sharp. You're decisive, courageous, quick-thinking, and even talented at forensic sketching. Honestly, you're more capable than many professionally trained detectives under my command. Hearing such praise from him made me secretly beam with pride. Looks like thanks to my bizarre four-grade Pests ability, I was really starting to shine. Seeing the way Captain Tran looked at me like he'd just discovered a gold mine, I decided it was time to make my move. "Uncle Tran, if your task force ever runs into another impossible case and hits a dead end, just call me. I'll provide accurate leads, you take the credit for solving the case, and I'll happily accept a little bonus reward on the side. A win-win partnership. What do you think?" If fate had given me such a bizarre supernatural ability, it would honestly be a waste not to make some money from it. Captain Tran's eyes instantly lit up. "Deal. That's actually a brilliant idea. Even if I couldn't convince you to join the force today, having your support is already a huge gain for us. I'll personally report this to the director and see if we can establish a special arrangement that allows you to fully utilize your talent." I nodded softly, stayed quiet for a moment, then added, "Oh, and Uncle Tran, please don't call me Miss Ha. It sounds way too formal. Just call me Hamok." Captain Tran burst into hearty laughter. "Levi, how is your cousin, right? I've known that kid for nearly 10 years already. In that case, from now on, just call me Uncle Tran. Your cousin specifically told me to keep an eye on you and take good care of you." Having the unspoken protection of a homicide captain, honestly, how many people in this world could ever dream of that kind of privilege? I obediently nodded. "Yes, Uncle Tran." Now that I seemed more relaxed, Captain Tran also became more open. He even started sharing details about Tru Vu's case, almost as if he were quietly training and testing me at the same time. "You were absolutely right. The resident from that upstairs apartment was already dead. Tru Vu was the killer. The victim was his ex-wife's close friend. He became paranoid and convinced himself the two of them had betrayed him behind his back, so he lured the woman to a remote area, murdered her, and buried the body there. We just recovered the remains. She was his first victim, and the 8th case connected to him." Captain Tran clicked his tongue with a sigh. "This really is thanks to you. Without your help, who knows how long it would have taken for the task force to finally catch that monster. And who knows how many innocent women might have lost their lives before we stopped him. He originally wanted to take me out for a proper celebratory meal, but unfortunately his police radio kept crackling non-stop with urgent calls from headquarters. In the end, he could only drop me off at the entrance to my alley and promise we'd do it another time. By the time I dragged myself back to my tiny rental room, the sun had already disappeared below the horizon. The moment my keys rattled against the door lock, the little gray mouse came scurrying over excitedly. Sister Ha! Sister Ha, you're finally home. The tiny gray fluffball spun around in circles on the floor, looking unbelievably happy to see me again. Honestly, I used to dream about owning a dog someday. I always imagined that once I became rich, I'd bring home a golden retriever or maybe a border collie and spoil it like crazy. Who would have thought that my first pets in life would turn out to be sewer rats? And somehow I even got a buy one get two free package deal. The black mouse let out a dramatic sigh of relief. Thank goodness you're finally back, Sister Ha. We seriously thought you abandoned us for good today. As for the giant rat boss, the moment he heard movement outside earlier, he'd been the first to perk up and stare toward the door. But now that I was actually standing here, he immediately puffed up and acted tough. Humph. If she didn't come back, then so what? It's not like I'd starve without her. I closed the door, changed my shoes, and washed my hands thoroughly before walking over to check his injuries. This is literally my house. Where else would I go? I muttered. Good thing the wounds didn't get infected. Let me change your bandages before bed. The giant rat mumbled something under his breath but didn't argue. I couldn't be bothered to fight with him anyway. I reheated the pork rib porridge, and soon it was one human and 3 rats noisily finishing the entire pot together. The next morning, I was still wrapped tightly in my blanket, fully committed to sleeping in, when my phone suddenly rang nonstop. It was someone from the police branch office. They told me that the parents of the child rescued yesterday had asked for my contact information and insisted on meeting me personally to thank me. Half asleep, I rejected the idea immediately. Go to the police station? No thanks. Sleeping under my blanket sounded way better. Unfortunately, the young couple was unbelievably persistent. They said that if I didn't feel comfortable going to the station, they would personally bring gifts to my apartment to thank me instead. That instantly woke me up. No way could I let strangers enter my room right now. After all, I was secretly sheltering 3 little sewer gangsters inside. With no other choice, I dragged myself out of bed to brush my teeth and wash my face. But the moment I stumbled out of the bedroom, I froze on the spot. Right in front of me was the giant rat leading the black mouse and the gray mouse in a full feast. Chicken heads were scattered all over the floor, surrounded by tiny piles of picked clean bones. Wait a second. Where on earth did they even get chicken? The gray mouse spotted me standing there in shock and immediately waved excitedly. Sister Ha, you're awake. Want some chicken head while it's still warm? The corner of my mouth twitched. An awkward silence instantly filled the room. I stared at them in disbelief and lowered my voice. Where did you even get all this? Don't tell me you snuck into the neighbors' apartments and stole it. The giant rat puffed himself up defensively, even as his stomach growled loudly. If we don't steal, then what are we supposed to do? Eat dirt? I was completely speechless. There's still an entire box of cookies at home, and that giant pig head from last night wasn't enough for you guys? The gray mouse lowered his head guiltily. To be fair, stealing had basically been their survival instinct since birth. Sister Ha, you were sleeping earlier, so we didn't dare wake you up. The black mouse also looked up at me and quietly explained. But we're rats, Sister Ha. We've survived like this our whole lives. We can't just sit around waiting for you to feed us forever, right? That sentence made me fall silent for a long moment. I turned around and walked into the bathroom without another word. Quietly, I brushed my teeth, washed my face, and applied my skincare routine. Only after calming myself down did I walk back out, cross my arms, and stare directly at the 3 tiny criminal masterminds in front of me. From today onward, absolutely no more stealing from other people. Stay here. I'll take care of the food. Really, Sister Ha? The gray mouse squealed excitedly and immediately started spinning in circles again. The black mouse smiled happily too, though he quickly turned to check his cousin's reaction. For once, the giant rat didn't argue right away. Feeling everyone staring at him, he puffed up his fur awkwardly and tried to act tough again. Humph. Who said I need this woman to feed me? Besides, she still owes me a proper pig head. I burst out laughing. Oh really? Then what about me saving your life? The giant rat instantly went silent. For all his gangster attitude, he clearly lived by his own code. He never forgot a grudge, but he also never forgot a favor. Seeing the atmosphere soften, the black mouse quickly jumped in with a suggestion. Boss, how about we stay here for a while? Maybe we can help Ms. Ha somehow and repay her kindness. The big rat slowly nodded. Sounds fine. After all, she did save my life. Afraid he might change his mind, I quickly sealed the deal. Then it's settled. From now on, stay here, no stealing. Help me solve cases, and I'll cover your food and shelter, and pay you fairly. I had already reached an understanding with Captain Tran yesterday. With this underground intelligence network backing me up, my bounty hunting career was bound to take off. Especially this big rat, he could go head-to-head with a stray cat and still make it back alive. His combat ability was no joke, and his reputation among his kind was solid. With proper guidance, he might even become a rat king. The big rat stared blankly at the black and gray rats dancing in celebration, as if realizing he had just boarded a pirate ship. But oh well. A man of honor wouldn't turn his back on a debt of gratitude. After getting changed and ready to head out, I opened a pack of cookies and poured them out for the three of them. Don't run around. Humans are dangerous, and stray cats are even worse. I don't want to come back later and find you all in trouble. The gray rat nodded frantically in fear. The big rat, however, scoffed at my nagging. With me here, who would dare lay a finger on them? I shot back immediately. Then how did you end up covered in bandages? Trip and fall? The big rat fell silent again. After the jab, I softened my tone, promising to bring back something delicious for a feast later. Only then did they obediently settle down. The black rat promised to keep watch, and I finally felt at ease locking the door and leaving. At the precinct, everything felt as familiar as a routine trip to the market. The officers on duty greeted me with cheerful smiles. Ms. Ha, back again? I gave an awkward smile and nodded. A young officer hurried over. Ms. Ha, the child's parents are waiting for you in Captain Tran's office. Let me take you there. As we walked down the hallway, he kept praising me nonstop, saying I was about to become a legend in the department, that I could spot criminals in a crowd with just a glance, and that even the smallest hidden clues couldn't escape my intuition. I could only smile quietly. Sure, I had a special ability, but it worked through sewer networks, not exactly something heroic and glamorous. The young officer continued excitedly, saying the recent serial case had been solved brilliantly, and the whole department had celebrated. Even the usually stern chief had cracked a smile. I wondered just how serious that man must be for a single smile to become such a hot topic. While we were chatting, we arrived at Captain Tran's office. The transformation of these detectives was impressive. 1 second he was chatting casually with me, the next he stood straight, knocked on the door, and reported crisply like a robot. Captain Tran nodded. All right, get back to your duties. The officer stepped out, giving me a discreet thumbs up as he passed. I entered the room. The young couple from yesterday immediately rushed toward me, holding the hand of a cute little boy. Ms. Hamak, you're here. Tu Bao, this is the one who saved you. Say thank you properly. If it weren't for her, you might have been taken away and never seen us again. The mother gently encouraged him. The boy looked exactly as described, fair-skinned, soft, with chubby cheeks like a steamed bun. He blinked his big round eyes at me and spoke in a sweet, childlike voice. Thank you, ma'am. My heart melted. I smiled and crouched down to his level. It's nothing. Just remember to hold your parents' hands next time, okay? Don't wander off again. He nodded obediently, then suddenly seemed shy and hid behind his mother. my smile grew even brighter. The father stepped forward and solemnly handed me a thick envelope. "Ms. Ha, this is a small token of our gratitude. Please accept it." I paused, instinctively glancing at Captain Tran to see if it was appropriate. He gave a slight wink, signaling that the choice was mine. So I politely accepted it. After all, if I was going to keep solving cases, I'd have to get used to receiving rewards eventually. Along with the envelope, the couple had also prepared a bright red banner. I unfolded it. And there, embroidered in large golden letters, were the words, "Brave heroine who saved a life." Oh my God. My toes curled so hard against the floor I felt like I could dig a hole and disappear from embarrassment. But Captain Tran was unusually enthusiastic, urging everyone to stand closer together so he could personally take a commemorative photo. Unable to refuse that level of enthusiasm, I reluctantly hugged the bright red banner and lined up with the family of three, forcing the most professional smile I could manage. Click. And just like that, the first heroine photo of my life was born. At the time, I had no idea this was only the beginning. Later on, dozens of similar banner-holding photos would follow one after another. I gradually went from a shy young woman to someone much more thick-skinned, posing like a seasoned pro. The envelope felt heavy in my hand. I slipped into a quiet corner and secretly opened it to check. 6 large pink bills. A total of 6,000 yuan. My very first signal catch had brought in an incredible profit. As for the city's 35,000 reward, who knows when that would actually be paid out. But these 6,000 yuan were real cash, sitting right in my hands. I immediately rushed to the nearest ATM and deposited all of it. Watching my account balance jump from 3 zeros to 4, I couldn't stop grinning. Not forgetting my promise to the 3 sewer generals back home, I stopped by the market and bought a huge bag of snacks, sunflower seeds, peanuts, and candy. Then I went to a roast shop and asked the owner to chop up half a big roast duck. Well, the duck was for me, my personal reward. I also grabbed a bag of fruit, apples, pears, bananas. Loaded down with bags, I returned to my apartment. The gray rat's eyes went wide. Whoa, why so much good food? Is it New Year or something? The black rat froze in disbelief. "Ms. Ha, is this our last meal before you kick us out?" I burst out laughing as I closed the door and changed my shoes. Looks like my poor girl image had deeply rooted itself in their minds. Even with all this food, it didn't cost me more than 300 yuan. What are you thinking? Didn't I promise I'd bring back something good for you? I laid the food out on the table. Finish the pig's head for lunch. This half-roast duck is mine. The black and gray rats nodded happily. Only the big rat kept being difficult. Like it's anything special. I'm sick of roast duck already. No one's fighting you for it. I only care about the pig's head. Can you tone it down a bit? No wonder you don't have any friends, I muttered. Lunch was satisfying and filling. The whole afternoon, I lounged around watching movies and cracking sunflower seeds. At one point, the gray rat crept closer, hoping for a bite, but I firmly refused. Even though they'd helped me earn money, boundaries between humans and rats had to be clear. Living under the same roof meant rules. I gathered the 3 of them and laid out the regulations. First, and most important, no wandering outside. Leave the intelligence network to your underlings. If you show your faces and get taken out, don't blame me. Second, eating and bathroom areas must be fixed. No messing around everywhere. Keep things clean. I've already prepared proper nests, bowls, and a plastic litter tray. The big rat is injured and shouldn't get wet, so he's exempt. The black and gray rats, however, have already been thoroughly washed and cleaned by me. Third, no climbing onto my bed. If you want to move around other areas, ask first. If I get sick because of you, then everyone starves. No one's going out to earn food for you. The gray rat nodded eagerly at everything. The black rat was easygoing, but occasionally glanced at the big rat, worried he might snap under the restrictions. The big rat snorted. this dump of yours? Even if you begged me, I wouldn't sleep on your bed. But remember, there better always be food ready. If I go hungry, I'll chew through your cabinets and bite all your wires. Don't worry. I pointed at the automatic feeder. I even bought a timed feeder. You won't go hungry. The rules were temporarily agreed upon. Any issues could be revised later. 1 human and 3 rats, an unprecedented truce had been reached. Please stay tuned for the next part. Like and follow my channel to get story updates faster. Thank you all very much.